Listen, what are you doing? What? It's gonna cost you money.
That's probably no doubt about that. Not me.
Oh, yeah.
They don't miserable, you know, now see thousands of so all that get them gathered up.
Never saved for cheap, but we used to. There you go. We have not chatted about that, so we did get the title back, we didn't say it yesterday. The keel stuff, real what I can Thank you.
Yes, you remember. When I come to the office, that was about 3 years ago. It wasn't like a culture. I went there and that made me cry. And I've been crying every time we come to the office. Okay, I'll run you down when I come to the house.
Yes. This is all, so far.
That's why.
Busy night tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got a long agenda tonight. The first item under new business on the plat approval, we will not be doing that. We don't have the original, the Mylar, so we'll just take that off. Then do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we have a motion to approve the council minutes for the March 17th meeting.
So moved.
A motion and a second, any discussion or questions, any changes? A motion and a second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the claims, the bills in between, a total of $125,622.20. Do I have a motion to approve them?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, discussion or questions on the bills in between? A motion and a second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the current claims, Harley, was there one change to them? We talked about one earlier today, I can't remember if we took it off or left it on there. Did we hear?
You were waiting to hear back from
Okay,
Steve on the one, so I don't anticipate a change at this
okay.
point.
All right, the current claims in the amount of $187,668.72.
So
Have
moved.
a motion to approve, or Carl?
Second.
Second, discussion or questions on the current claims? Have a motion second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And communication from the public, I might start out by saying that we've got a really long agenda tonight, so anything we can keep short, I appreciate. We've got an executive session that is scheduled at about 8:30, hoping we can get to the meeting. By then, we've got an attorney coming, so, Steve.
Yes, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen of City Council, Mayor, my name is Steve Shannon. I'm the current president and executive director of the Miss South Dakota Scholarship Foundation. And I'm here for actually just two things. First of all, our pageant this year will be running the week of, we'll start building the stage June 13th. And then the actual pageant starts June 18th to the 21st. The first thing I want to discuss is the fact that we are fortunate enough to have the president and CEO of the Miss America organization will be in our town Wednesday and Thursday for the first 2 days of our pageant. This is the first. We have had some representatives of Miss America organization before, but never somebody as high ranking as the president. So what I'd like to ask is, one, that the city welcomes this gentleman. His name is Sam Haskell. I don't know if we want to do a proclamation or the key to the city. That's up to you, but we want to make him welcome because 2 years ago he awarded the city an award because it had been 66 years since the pageant had started here in Hot Springs, and we're the only pageant in the country that is still in one location. So they had recognized Hot Springs, and I think it's up to us to try to re-recognize the president when he comes in. This pageant is the 68th year, and we're still chugging along. We're trying to do very well, and we want to make sure that we represent Hot Springs and the state of South Dakota. So that's my first request. Secondly, as we all know, money is tight. We find that every year it becomes more and more difficult to reach the requirements of the Miss America organization and to continue to weigh on the residents and the business owners of Hot Springs. It just seems like, yes, this is the state pageant, but it's really the Hot Springs pageant. And we find it very difficult every year to try to get funds from all over the state. Now, we're working on that. But when I went back and was looking at all our resources, I noticed that we have nothing from the city of Hot Springs. We give the girls nothing. There's no scholarship that says thank you in accordance to Hot Springs. And I think it's time for the city to come stand up and recognize what the South Dakota Scholarship Foundation does for the city during that week, 10 days, bringing the people in, getting the recognition that the city does get for being the only city in the country. So my request is that we come up with some sort of scholarship that yearly we can award one young lady in the name of Hot Springs. So those are my two requests. I'll be more than happy to talk about dollars and cents if you like. We are a nonprofit organization. Whatever money we put in our budget, we spend. We don't spend less, we don't spend more. Most of the time we spend more and it comes out of the board's pocket. So we sure could use your help in some manner or the other.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you, Steve. We'll take it under consideration. We can't decide on it tonight, but we will at least kick it around with it.
All right, may I ask, since the pageant's coming up soon, that I might be, I don't want to pressure you all, but that I could get some sort of answer before the month, next 30 days, because by then I'll have to put the budget in to Miss America as to what we're going to be giving away.
We can't make a decision until at least the third Monday of April.
That would be all right.
Okay,
I mean, on our calendar, that would be great if it would be all right on yours.
okay,
Okay?
all right,
All right.
good enough. Thank you,
Thank you
Steve.
very much.
Dave Stiller? Okay, there you are.
Okay, here. Hello, my name is Dave Stiller. I'm with Asphalt Zipper. Asphalt Zipper is we're a company that makes portable grinding and reclamation attachments. So I just got a real quick, just kind of a quick overview of the company, and then I'll answer any questions that you guys might have. About a year ago, I did a demonstration for the street department in town, and they were looking at the machine to utilize in repairing potholes, fixing alligator streets, really utilizing the material that's already on the ground and grinding into the base and strengthening the base, and utilizing your existing resources to help strengthen your roads. What the Asphalt Zipper does is it gives your street department the ability to fix roads in a way that they really never had before. It goes far beyond just filling up a pothole. It actually goes down into the base and fixes the material underneath where the strength needs to be for your roads to hold together longer. So we make a variety of machines. We started making these things in 1993. They were invented to open trench for pipe contractors. So when I started with these guys in 2001, about 80% of our business was with pipe contractors. Very small amount with cities, counties, and DOTs. Last year, 85% of my business was cities, counties, DOTs, and Indian reservations. The machine has really kind of morphed into a maintenance piece of equipment. So I've got customers that buy these things that will fix potholes the size of the table, and they'll also take out 10, 12, 14 miles of road at one time. So they've grown in capability and kind of what they'll do. The machine that I demonstrated last year was a 4-foot machine. It fits on the loader that the city currently owns. It doesn't utilize any power from the loader. It has its own diesel engine, so it's pretty highly productive for that type of equipment. Our machines range in price from about $100,000 to right around $200,000, which the next piece of equipment made by any other manufacturer that gets you in the reclaiming game is just under $400,000. So it's a machine that's affordable that a municipality can own, but you don't have to use it every day to really cost justify it. I've got about 30 machines in the state of South Dakota. So the city of Rapid City owns a machine, Pennington County owns a machine. I've got, I can get you a list of them. There's dozens of counties and probably, I think, 14 cities now that own machines. I think the smallest city in South Dakota that owns a machine is Gettysburg, South Dakota, which is around 2,000 people. Okay, so I got some literature. I know there was a couple people at the demonstration. I recognize a few of you guys. So if you have, right now, if you have any questions about the machine, I would be happy to answer those.
You got any good used machines?
Actually, I do. I have, interestingly enough, I have a demo unit that I use to do demonstrations with. And the trend right now for counties has been buying our 6-foot unit. People that have loaders that are large enough to run the 6-foot unit, they're buying that one. So I have a unit that's a 4-foot unit that I tow with my truck to do demos with, that I demoed all last year and did not sell because most people were buying the 6-footer. So I've got a unit it's a 2 model years old. It's got less than 100 hours on it, and we're looking to make a deal on that one. I'm the only one that's ever run it, so it's never been owned by anybody. So that one's available, so I can get you pricing on that. We do have a 5-year pay program, which allows you to actually take possession of a machine and use it for a full year before you make your first payment. You make 5 consecutive yearly payments, and you own it at the end. So it makes it a little more palatable than trying to budget in a big chunk at one time.
Okay, I know they've talked about the Public Works before, it's come up several times.
Yep.
Take it back to and see if there's still interest, or maybe in the one that's been slightly used.
Yep, and I can get pricing over if you guys would like that.
I have a question on it.
Yes.
Do I understand correctly that if you hit cement with this, it ruins the blade on it?
It depends on the cement. In the world of asphalt, we know the range of hardness is from here to here. In the world of concrete, it goes from here to, we're not sure how big the rebar is or what the mix is. So I don't have a real good answer. In soft cement, it cuts right through it. I actually have customers that will cut cement with them. We don't kind of sanction cutting concrete with them. In the hard end, it'll damage the teeth on the machine.
And how expensive is that to repair? or
The
replace?
teeth on the machine, on the 4-foot unit, there's 132 teeth at $9 a piece. So to put it in perspective, I had a customer 10 years ago that hit a railroad track that was overlaid with asphalt. They didn't know it was there, and they broke 65 of their teeth off. So they did, $600-700 worth of damage. In concrete, it would be a lot less than that. You might take 4 or 5 teeth off.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Ron, Bradeen.
Thank you all. I'm Ron Bradeen with Bradeen Auctions. I think most of you I know, or you might know me, but Craig especially, we will have visits meet on the road. Here tonight, I'll be as brief as I can. Twofold. Number one, talk about a little easement issue. And secondly, I'll talk with Harley a little bit about the potential, and we haven't been able to get together and look yet, but that the city may have some surplus property that you may want to market down the road here. I'll be a little, we'll just kind of stick to the easement issue tonight and talk later about this surplus property, because I haven't gotten a chance to look at it. And I know I was at one of your Public Works meetings, and at least 3 or 4 of you got up to speed on this a little more than the rest, and I don't know how detailed I have to get into. But we're talking about an easement issue up behind the city water facility, well facility up Hot Brook Canyon, a couple, 3 miles out of town. And we're gonna be marketing the, what a lot of you know is the Ivan Drift property owned by the Keel family. We're gonna be marketing that at public auction here in the near future. David Keel, the son, lives here in town. Basically, he's staying here through the auction. His father and stepmother live in Texas now, and I understand Mr. Keel's in failing health right now. So time is of the essence to get this property marketed. What we're really looking at, and Craig is very familiar with this property, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we're in need of probably close to 1/4 mile easement across the city property that runs quite a ways up that canyon. And what we're wanting to do is trade it for, I'm gonna say, 200 to 300 yards of easement that I think the city has some desire to have across us or across the Keel property. Before, I understand there had been some negotiations on this earlier, a couple of years ago, possibly. And at that time, I don't believe the Keel family were willing to give up an easement across their property. When I got approached on it and take me along to look at it and say, hey, obviously if you guys, it's kind of a give and take deal, we need to go both ways. And I have been given authority by the family to negotiate an easement, basically giving you anything we're gonna take from you. Wide open, if the best easement we're looking at is a 66-foot dedicated public right of way, whatever we need, so we'll grant to you. And I know there's been some other discussion about bridge building, you've got some other options you could do. This right out there where I believe, guys, that an easement will help both parties out largely. This property, we have access to it. There's access off Hot Brook Road, but the canyon itself is probably 1/2 to 2/3 of the acreage of this canyon, and it just is not accessible any other way but to come up the canyon. There are some ways in over private land with muscling some roads, but this truly has been the historic access to the property forever, and it just makes sense to go up this way. And I guess I'll open up for questions and see what kind of questions pop up, but we're gonna market the property one way or the other here in the near future. I think it behooves the city of Hot Springs to have the easement that I've been granted the power to grant to you. And it's gonna be marketed here in the next 30 to 60 days, and I think the window's open now to get your access that you might need, and it may not be with a new owner. And so, a lot of you, I guess, are familiar with this. I guess I'll open up, see what questions you have, how much deeper you want me to get into the details.
Any questions of Ron?
You have one behind you.
Can I
Yes.
ask you where is the property located in conjunction to the existing city pump building?
Where the pump building lies, and help me on my directions, but the Keel property is north and to the west, north and to the west of the city property.
How far over, which road are you talking, which road are you talking access? Because I own property up there.
Okay, this, where the pump house sits, and help me if I can describe this better, but as you go past the pump house, the first right that you can take, David Keel owns 2 homes. They're kind of a shed type homes, they match. And this is actually, this is David's driveway, these 2 houses.
Right.
And the railroad track that comes around the loop there is the road we're talking about. Then once you get in behind or directly north of the city pump station, it just follows that deep canyon
And goes back up.
quarter of a mile up the road there to the Keel gate, I guess I'd call it. But actually, you're crossing the land that we're willing to give the easement across is right from the highway, a couple 300 yards in, and then we're asking the city's easement on around, and that's one of the little problems we gotta talk about. I understand we're on a railroad right of way that Mr. Jenigas owns for a couple 100 yards. That has to be negotiated. Then we take a left turn and head up the canyon, and that is definitely on city property.
Is there any updates on the railroad right-of-way property?
What we did, you were at that meeting before, I did get the title commitment from Southern Hills Title, and definitely the Keel family owns the right-of-way over their land, that we don't have a problem with. Definitely Mr. Jenigas, I understand his grandson, is here in the crowd tonight, he still owns the rest of that half acre, we call it, across the city property. And I was just chatting with him earlier, but from what I understand, he can be contacted. I think it's not something he's trying to hold anybody up on, but we could more than likely negotiate that. Talk with Harley a little bit. Really all I'm looking for tonight is, I know there's been a little friction in the past on this thing as to whether to do it or not. If the consensus is to move ahead on it, I don't mind helping get this easement situation negotiated and some of those things. It's part of what I do, so. And we're gonna go ahead with advertising a sale and sell it one way or the other, but it would enhance the property to be able to legally drive up there. I don't think it's the city's intent right now to lock gates and not let people drive in there to look, but we would like to be able to tell people that they have a legal access in there. One other little thing just to quip to throw at you, and you're pretty much all aware, this land is encumbered by or has one of these Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation easements on it. It will never be subdivided. The easement states the land cannot be further subdivided. So it's not a piece of property that's ever going to be a big subdivision or housing development or anything like that. That's a very significant development or a significant thing to think about when you're making this decision. It'll only ever serve one party.
I think it's something that we've kicked around before, and I think it's something we need to go forward with to get access to our property back up behind on that 90 acres. We should go ahead and work it and get it into the next council meeting and have a motion on it.
Whether it's your attorney, or I think the family's been working with Pat Gannon, whether it's your attorney, or we have Pat draft, I think that's kind of been sitting in limbo. I think Pat's done something in the past, it just needs to be cleaned up. Gone one step further with, have Pat drafted, that basically is a two-way easement. Whatever we're asking you to use, what we're gonna grant to you. And if I had Pat come forward with something like that, in the meantime, we'll also talk about, with your permission, we'll contact these Jennigas's and see if they are willing to let go of that portion of that railroad easement. And
We have met with the Jennigas once, and then we've, since that meeting, when they expressed that they'd be willing to at least look at an offer, we sent an offer in December and have not heard
nothing's
anything.
come back from it since.
Nothing from that, so we offered to buy just a portion that sits within the city's legal boundaries, and they also own an additional half-mile or mile or something past that, and we had offered, from a trail standpoint, to maybe gain access for future trail access, because that's some of what's been talked about, the use of this 90-some acres. It could be a picnic, hiking, biking, mountain biking, kind of recreational kind of a area for people to use, so.
Well, I'm not against it, Ron, if we make it where the public can go across anytime they want to. I'd be okay with it.
And I appreciate that, Craig, and the concern you have is about this lock, I understand that. And once that property's sold and there is an easement that's traded, bear in mind, it's up to you and that new owner. The gate will stay there, and it's up to you two guys to decide. I mean, you may not want to open it this time either. I mean, that's your call, but at least with you with an easement, it'll be up to you and the new owner as to whether or not the gate gets left open or not. But certainly you'll have a key to it, that's your easement.
That's kind of all we ever really wanted. We just wanted a fair shake. We wanted access for the public. And I mean, it sounds to me like I think we're all gonna win.
I think, and I've got that across to Mr. Keel, and he has accepted that, and they really move on.
Okay? Sounds good to me.
With that, I'll kind of take that as a firm maybe, and definite maybe, and we'll move ahead and try to get something more done before the next council meeting.
Thanks.
Appreciate it
If you get
very much.
anything, if you have any more, on that railroad property, let us know, or let me know, or Harley know on that too, if we can get something done there.
Appreciate that, and I'll be in touch with you, Harley, on that and this other issues. Thank you folks
Thank you,
again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Battle Mountain Humane Society is having a fundraiser June 1st in Centennial Park. They want to have some vendors in there. It won't be on as big a scale as the Arts and Crafts Festival, but they've got the park reserved. They just wanted the council to know that there would be vendors in there. So if there's any question about that, or if you have a problem, Connie Geiser is here. She could answer questions if there are any.
Okay, Connie, the vendors that you're planning on, are any of them serving malt beverage?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Got our blessing, Connie.
All right, thank you very much.
Tim, the advisory board update on the plunge.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a short update of some of the things that we're doing at the plunge, and things are really looking good. I mean, it's exciting times, I think, for Hot Springs, because I have never seen people come together like they came together at that grand opening in this town. I mean, it's looking good. Some of the big things that we have did is that we have passed code of ethics for our advisory board, and that kind of speaks for itself. We've also went through authority and that type of thing, you know, the functions of an advisory board and that type of thing. We set down some rules for that. Some of our top priorities has been children. And right now, children can get in at the plunge for $2.81 for the punch ticket. So, you know, that's pretty good. We've talked about anything from $1.89, I do believe, up to about $5 for a walk-in on a kid. We've never really nailed anything down on that for what we'd recommend. Veterans is another thing that's been a big thing. We are a veterans town. We work pretty hard on trying to get the veterans in up there. We're working $2 special probably to try to get them in on that type of thing. And whatever we do is going to be good for the study that comes out too for the veterans. We got to think of that. Another thing is the elderly. Every report that you see, every recreational report or whatever says to get the elderly in that pool. And we've been working on a ramp, anywhere from a utility ramp going down into an ADA compliant ramp. And we've been working with Scott on that. Steve Winia and Annie Donnell and myself have been working with Scott on that. We got a program booklet out now that Georgia, Diane Bader, and Irun Adelana volunteer. They put together a program booklet that's absolutely fantastic. And Justin Guzman put the whole thing together, and I mean, it's just great. I wish I had one here with me, but it's going to be blue, and I mean, it is just crisp and nice reading, so I'm just going to look really good. We also have a new promotion and advertising committee, which I missed the first meeting tonight, I guess. So we're short at the Boys and Girls Club, and I had to work, so. But we're looking at focusing on packaging with lodging and area businesses, coupons, sporting events, and, you know, if anyone has any marketing ideas or anything else, you know, they can bring it to the advisory board and talk to us, and we're open to any ideas. I want to talk for a second about the newsletter that Mary's been putting out. Fantastic. I mean, everybody seems to have gotten in. There's good information and stuff for everybody. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so thanks, Mary, on that. We've had a planning committee, which we've already got over a 20-page report on the future of the plunge and what it may look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And we're working on adding to that. And Diane Bader, Georgia is on there, Steve Winia, Andy Donnell, myself, Tara Hagan, Deanne McComb, and Jerry Baker are volunteers. They're working on that with us, and they put together some great ideas. So that's going to be pretty good. We had a couple pool surveys come out. One was for the membership and stuff. Most of that's been demographics so far, but they want to get with Don and me and Harley, and I don't know who all else is going to be on that, but and explain some of the more detail than just demographics. That's all they went over so far with us. We also had a telephone survey after the pool closure, and that telephone survey was fantastic. I mean, it's stuff that, I mean, it was really good stuff. It was not only the yes and no's to the questions, but it was, you know, okay, this was wrong or whatever, the way we did it or whatever, you know. They came up with answers on how we can make that work. And I mean, I've got a whole page of answers on how we can make stuff work, and I thought that was fantastic. So thanks to everybody that filled out that type of thing and stuff for us. That was really good. Also, I'd like to say that some of our organizing people for the pool closure and some of the other things that the volunteers did, Barb Walters has been fantastic in calling and stuff, and Betty Russo, I don't think she's here. She did a lot of calling stuff. They've been phenomenal in getting stuff together. She also organized the whole grand opening and stuff too, as far as the volunteers go and everything, so that was great. Thank you very much. Okay, what I want to say about the volunteers right now is 577 hours is what I came up with. That does not include the Evans Plunge Advisory Board, the hundreds of hours that we've put in and stuff. So I think the volunteers in this town deserve a really, you know, big hand for everything that they did. I mean, 577 hours, that's, you know, how much does that save the city if you figure even 10, 12 bucks an hour, you know, I mean, you're up in the 6,000 bracket there. They cleaned out storage room, the back ramp, they inventoried the plunge, they did the pool closure, obviously everybody's seen that, and then the grand opening, so that was fantastic. So that's about all I have. Thank you very much. Is there any questions or anything that I said? If anybody wants to talk about those surveys or whatever, you know, I'm glad to show them whatever we have. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate all the work that the volunteers did and that you do with the advisory board too. It really does help us a lot. Thanks. Gary Baker and Jim Boltzmann, planning and zoning.
Where do we stand? What's the best place?
That will work right there.
This works. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Gary Baker. I've had the pleasure to work on planning and zoning, the reorganization of a planning commission back in 2005, where we had some issues, some legal issues. And at that time, the city moved forward with going ahead and solidifying a planning commission. Like I said, I've been able to work with this group for a long time. We had some members come and go, and I'm quite happy to have Jim Boltzmann as our vice chairman and working with the group. And today we just wanted a chance to meet with the council, say hello to some of the citizens of Hot Springs. We have a yearly report, which everyone has seen probably a couple of weeks ago, came on March 31st. And today we just want to go over, Jim, I'm going to give you the floor to go over some of the things we did this last year. We've only had 7 meetings in a 12-month period, but we got quite a bit done. And today's just a chance for us to say hello, meet, and give an idea of what the planning commission's been up to for the last year. We'd like to certainly have time with anyone who'd like to meet with the planning commission and talk about what we've done since 2005. We're always open and available. Jim, would you go over what we've done over the last year?
Did you guys all get a copy of this?
2 weeks ago, March 31st.
Well, like Gary said, all we're here to do is just kind of tell you that we have been active and we have done a few things. We worked on the Highway 385 improvement project, annexation in the Highway 71 South area due to the hospital and the ambulance shed. We reviewed and several subdivision plats. We worked on rezoning to make some uses fit that were non-conforming uses, which is a big issue. If you own a house that's in a non-conforming use area, you can't get a financing for that house. So we fixed a few of those problems. I guess the main thing we're here today is we're at a point where we have our legs under us a little bit, and we're going to begin working on the comprehensive plan. There's a lot of things that are happening, like just what Tim was just talking about, can be a component of that comprehensive plan. It's taken the various citizen groups and boards and compiling that information and developing a plan based on where are we at today, where do we want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And part of what this document talks about is the planning commission are appointed to 5-year terms. You guys all, I believe, serve 2-year terms, except for even the mayor. And so what it does is these two groups basically work together and provide continuity so that we can develop this plan and then implement it and hopefully go forward with it, with the agreement of everybody. And if there's something happens down the road that it no longer fits, then we can relook at it and take it apart, put it back together and submit it to you guys and then, or whoever's on the council at that point. So it provides continuity for the various department heads, so they know what they're doing over the next 5-10 years. Streets, we've got some components of this already in place, the hydrology study. You're working right now on a plan out at the golf course, and I believe there was a plan done with something else with the plunge, or maybe that was the plan you were talking about. But after Scott kind of stuck the South Dakota statutes under my nose, it kind of got my attention a little bit, that we needed to act on some of this. So that's what we're here for today. Just to let you know that, we woke up, we're moving forward with this comprehensive plan, and we're gonna do our best to make it a good, solid plan for the city of Hot Springs, for the people of Hot
Thank you
Springs.
so much.
That's what we're doing.
I think 1984 was the last one.
1981.
One, yeah,
It's a little out of
okay.
date.
Yeah.
And so, I guess I'm happy to take any questions from the council, if I can answer them,
I appreciate you doing this, because this is really a help.
Well, and you're,
That's what I'd like to say, is that myself and a few other people have been kind of reintroduced planning and the planning commission to the city of Hot Springs. It's kind of gone for a little while. And there certainly has not been a group of volunteer citizens. There's 7 people on the council, or commission that is. And this group has really come together, worked together as a group. I think they're really strong right now, feel a little more comfortable. I haven't pushed anything too hard on any of my ideas or anything like this. It's just a group that gets together and assists the city as volunteers. And we do have a couple of openings that we certainly would like people who are interested in joining the planning commission to go ahead and get in touch with myself or Mayor Don DeVries if you want.
the mayor would be the person to talk to. He's the one that appoints.
Yeah. So at this point, we're really just saying our group is organized, well-oiled, and we are looking for some help. And citizens would like to be involved. And the comprehensive plan has not been updated for 31 years, is it?
1981.
Yeah. So it's a good time. And now that the energy is there, with all these great reports I've heard from Tim, and everything that the dynamics are going on in Hot Springs, it's probably a very good time to put together a comprehensive plan that's up to date.
Good steps for
Yeah.
our future. What I plan to do with the parks plan that's being worked on right now, and the plan with the golf course, and then when we get to more of a firm plan with the plunge, I want to include the planning and the zoning on those plans, because according to state law, it's gotta go through there and then back to the council before we can adopt any kind of plan, and then it is a part of the long-range comprehensive plan. We have looked for the last few years for enough money for a plan that's somewhere around 125, maybe 150,000. It's hard to say depending on who put it together and how well, but it's pretty expensive. One of the things we've kicked around a little bit at City Hall recently is to have the planning commission much more active in the role of putting together our comprehensive plan, and maybe even having a local person that has planning training working on that. It could even be somebody from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So if we can put that together in-house, we think that we'll get a good document. We think that we can do something within the next maybe 6 months or a year, and it'll probably be less than that 150,000 we've talked about before.
Could be significant. But yes, that, and we feel like there's a lot of information already being gathered that, you know, do we necessarily need to pay somebody from somewhere else to come in and compile that information and put it into a format for our local community? I think it's better served by using the people, and we have some good minds available to us in this community. There's no reason, I don't think, to pay $150,000 or $200,000 for a comprehensive plan. I think we can put it together. It may not be as shiny and glossy as some of those $200,000 plans, but I think the meat of it's going to be very similar. Yes.
I have a question. On the old one from 1981, was that followed at all as far as, you know, when, you know, tons of us, all of us have come to council, hey, we want this, and we want you to help pay for this, and that comprehensive plan is.
I asked Scott today to put that out and give it, I think, to all of us, to go down and check how much of it did we really accomplish. So maybe you'd like a copy of it too.
We got quite a bit of it accomplished. The main thing was, in order to have any zoning law, we had to have the comprehensive plan in place, and the planning and zoning commission.
There were picnic tables and benches and bathrooms and stuff like that on there.
Ma'am?
I think it's a great idea to at least start at home before we go somewhere else, and I think it's awesome.
And believe me, if we find that we're out of our depth, we'll rethink that strategy.
No.
But until
Good idea to try.
until somebody, you know, we figure it out, or somebody tells us, hey, you're out of your depth, then we'll, I think it's in everybody's best interest for us to at least try it I don't know that we're gonna lose anything. And I think, you know, the time right now with Hot Springs, is right for something like this. I mean, we have people coming together all over the place with the VA problems and you know, buying the plunge, and there's a lot of community involvement, and community involvement is what's gonna be required in a comprehensive plan, because it's not about the commission members saying, this is what we need. It's about hearing what you guys need, what you want, what you feel we need, and then distilling that down into a working document so that we can create a plan to go forward. That's what we're about.
In the perfect world, a comprehensive plan is used by city council as a business plan, let's say. At every council meeting, when a question would come up, be a person's property line or anything to do with investing money, you'd be able to refer back to the plan and say, does this work with our capital improvements plan? Does this work with goals and objectives of the citizens and the authorities that are in place, elected officials? Does this still go in line with what the plan has to say, what the people wanted at this snapshot picture of time? That snapshot does change, should change every 5 years. Planning is not a solid rock, it's just a direction, taking that first step and going in some sort of direction. But it's a great use and a great tool for any elected officials so that they, you know, can pass it on to the next group of elected officials. It's a great tool.
Good, thanks very much.
Thank
I'll
you.
work with you guys in the next week or 10 days, and maybe we can get something put together, even possible action to the next council meeting. If we want to go ahead.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much,
Thank
ladies and
you.
gentlemen.
Any other communication from the public? Yeah.
Okay, my name is Mary Goulet, and I have been a member, my husband and I have been fund for years, and I'm a recent volunteer. I think something historic happened today that I wanted to make you aware of. Would you mind passing these down? We've been members of the plunge for years, and we've rubbed shoulders with a lot of the veterans going through treatment. And we know how special the plunge was in the treatment for the mineral waters, talking to people, seeing the children, to kind of help them get back to their lives when they would return. Right now, the last I heard, they were represented from 26 states up there. But about a year ago, I think it was, that the VA stopped offering, they gave $3,000 a year for some of the veterans to come. The city supplied $3,000. That stopped. I don't know exactly when it stopped, but I just remember sitting in the hot tub one day talking to a veteran who said, you know, he was here because his counselor in Colorado said this is the place to be, but he couldn't afford to come to the plunge, you know, one time maybe because it was expensive. Now, some of them can afford it, some of them can afford membership, which is basically $1 a day, which is very reasonable. But many of them cannot. And I believe Tim's advisory board has been kicking this around for a while since they found out that the veterans were not, it was a veterans town, and our veterans couldn't use the plunge unless they have a lot of money, which very few, most of them up there are homeless at the time. And so my husband and I went to the advisory board several times. They kicked it around, the pros and cons, and passed it on to Harley and the mayor. Harley and the mayor approved of it. We brought it to Emily, and it got stuck. And now I've been working on this for months. And I get impatient because I know NEPA, you know, we have the study coming, and I didn't want all of a sudden our town to look like it had done something just to look good. Well, Emily was stuck, and one day I talked to her, and she was confused. Well, I found out why she was confused. So I got the name, and I went to the VA by the phone. I got a big runaround. They weren't going to do anything. And so this is what we did. We told the veterans that basically they don't have to go through any of the commotion with the VA. All they have to do is come down to the plunge. The people at the plunge will look at their meal card and let them in for $2. We feel that we might even make a little money on it, but we're not in it for that. We might make up the $3,000 that before the city had to put in. I don't know. I really don't care. I'm just delighted that they will be there. And I feel as if now we are really the veterans town, not in name, but in deed. This started today. And for the rest of you, basically they get in for $2 presenting their card. And that's it. Any questions?
I'd like to say that's really awesome, because in the last few months, I've had to do a lot of work with the veterans, and you can't get veteran discounts at the stores, shops, or anything anymore, and so that is a huge feat that you were able to.
I was at the chili feed on Sunday, and I made it a point to go around and meet the veterans who are from the Dom. They were thrilled. One of them put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Miss Mary, thank you, thank you." He said, "That hot room means so much to me." I presume he meant to me this on the And, you know, it helps in their healing. And it helps when they're from 26 states for them to go back and say, this is the veterans' town. They treated us well. So,
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary, for doing that.
Any other communication from the public?
Yeah, when you reach the code of conduct, that will be open to public discussion too.
I will open it up for some public discussion. Yep.
Mayor, the planning and zoning committee is an open public meeting, or? Yes. Yes, it is? So it'd be a good idea if you put that 2 weeks before in a newspaper, so more people know about it, so maybe a little more attention from the public, do some survey.
They're posted at City Hall, that we can talk about it.
Aren't they?
I think it's in the events
Yeah,
listing,
they
yeah.
posted it.
And they're regularly scheduled, just like the council meetings are.
Any other communication from the public? Okay, we'll continue. We've got a resolution on bridge inspection program. This, the inspections are done, the city pays 20% of the costs. If you have any questions, let me know, otherwise I entertain a motion for approval of the resolution.
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion or questions? A motion and a second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And I'd like to appoint Laura Hortz for the library board for a term ending December of 2017. And if you remember, we've been changing everything instead of the mid-year, everything goes till like December 31st, so it's easier to keep track of the boards and commissions. So I entertain a motion to reappoint her. Is that a motion? Second? Second? All right, any discussion or questions? Got a motion and a second to appoint Laura Horks, library board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And personnel, you can see the personnel items on the agenda. I might add one more item that's not personnel, but it fits here. Couple months ago, probably, I handed out a job description for the possibility of hiring a deputy finance officer. I don't know if we want to do that or not as a council, but you might want to kick that around a little bit. Without me in the mayor's office, it's gonna add some more work to Harley, 1st of July, and he's already too busy. So it would be something to consider, because in somewhere around 3-4 years, we're guessing both Harley and Debbie will probably be gone, maybe 5 more years, we don't know. But it isn't a job you can just step into and know in 6 months or a year or two, so kick that around a little bit. I don't know, like I say, if the council wants to do it, but if you want to, we can put something on the next agenda, or contact me between meetings, or whatever you'd like to do, but it should be at least considered. If you don't do it, that's fine. Harley's not pushing for this, he's the one that wants to cut people back, but I'm just afraid of what might happen in 3 or 4 years if we don't have somebody else in place.
I think our auditor said something about it too, when she was here.
I think we should put it on that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Put it on there?
Yeah.
I think it's something that we have to be looking at.
Yeah.
You got the possibility of Debbie, our assistant finance officer now, coming up for retirement within the next 5 years, possibly. She might want to go longer, who knows? But the fact of the matter is, you need somebody in place that knows the city background and how the accounting goes for the city. It's different with government accounting than it is with out there in the public.
We do need a continuity from now to the future.
I think you need to wait till budget time.
We don't have nobody, no budgeting for one,
Yep,
but I agree, we probably need something, but
it's not actually in the budget. We could cover it, because since Harley's been here, he's probably, I guess I don't have a good number, but probably in wages, he's probably saved between $200,000 and $300,000 a year just by cutting back on people. So if we had to, and if the council wanted to do it, it'd be something to consider to do it right away. We've got less people than we have for a long time. Something to consider, we'll put it on the next agenda. New business, temporary alcoholic beverage license for Woolies. We want to have a temporary liquor license for the Flatiron Market, May 31st. Motion to approve. Second. Motion and second. Discussion or questions?
Are you gonna sell alcohol, or is this wine and beer?
I think it's,
All of the above. It's liquor, wine, and malt beverage, so it's all three.
Are they gonna have a beer garden type atmosphere, or?
I think she's gonna be in the confines of that.
Inside the courtyard where the railing is around.
I guess I have no problem as long as it's a controlled environment, but
It's not in the street, the street part of the market.
It doesn't say it on here, but
we can take the word back that it's gotta be in a beer garden type of atmosphere, it's gotta be confined. Okay, any other questions or discussion? Got a motion and a second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we've got an application from Springs Restaurant for an off-sale wine license. I lost mine, but I know I've got one in here. I would make that motion.
second.
Got a motion to approve and a second. Discussion or questions on that? Okay, got a motion second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the airport ag lease, I'm not sure what this is, it's either from the airport board or from public safety, Craig, is that?
It's from public safety.
Okay, all right.
At one meeting that we made a motion for the airport to have total control of everything out there. I think a lot of things fell through that shouldn't have. What they're asking for is that the city take over outside the fence and all they have is liability of inside the wildlife fence. But I'd agree with that as long as like on buildings and stuff, they still get a hold of Tracy and get his input on stuff and where to put things. So, I think that'd be my motion that the city take over outside the wildlife fence and they plant whatever grass we need inside and we'll spray all of it like we planned on anyway.
Okay, so the motion is that they do,
Inside
the city
wildlife
does
fence.
outside the fence and the advisory board and the managers do inside?
Yeah. With guidance from Tracy on something,
Yeah, 'cause we have to still use
And
it for,
consult Tracy.
yeah.
for disposal.
No.
No,
Not
that's
in,
outside.
not
isn't it,
inside,
in there?
outside.
Okay, got a motion and second, discussion? Okay, I got a motion and second to have the city do all the ag work outside of the wildlife fence and the advisory board and the managers with, after consulting with Tracy on the inside.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, and the utility department, foreman position, that's from your committee, I think, Carl?
Yes. We've kicked this around with with Tracy quite a bit, and considering the amount of work that the supervisors have to do out there, we thought it behooved the city to move forward with the foreman positions, which
You got Billy too?
Billy, and Cole. Was there one other one?
Sean.
Sean,
Sean and Cole.
yeah.
Isn't Billy already considered foreman?
Well, I think they all three are.
No. I was the foreman, and when I left, that job was never filled.
Kinda thought that's what Tracy was supposed to be. He was supposed to be your new, water sewer foreman overseeing these guys.
That's why we gave him $5 more an hour.
That's why you guys voted to give him $5 an hour more, was because he was gonna take on this position.
I think Tracy actually took on the position that Gene and Stephanie had, more Stephanie than Gene.
No, I kinda remember as he was gonna kinda take on the position of
Well, he
the
can't-
water and sewer and kinda ride herd on them guys, and Billy would still take his three departments that he's kinda running. That's the way I remember it, I guess. We can look back in the minutes, I guess. And he did, Tracy did receive a $5 an hour wage increase at that time.
I think we are using some of their certifications too right now.
And I have no problem with this certification increase, because that's the deal the city made with them years ago. I mean, I have no problem with that. But there's certain things we've asked that be done, haven't been done a year later from some of these guys. I mean, so.
Is there a wage increase involved, or just a title?
I think that's $1 an hour more.
That's actually in your salary resolution, it's $2 an hour more. The positions are already there, they just don't have anybody in those positions.
Foreman position for water, does that have any impact on their certificates or anything like that?
No. They would still have increases for certificates as a foreman. Is that what you're asking?
No, I know, I can't remember. There's a certain, you can't be, what, superintendent or something like that and have a license? I can't remember, what is that, Tim, when they're,
Basically, what they did is the law says like Dawn can't have one, or Harley can't have one, or one of us. I have mine because, but you can't put, and cut out like engineers. If that's all their job was an engineer. They had to have actual, and the reason they did that is you have to have actual on-the-job experience to get certification. Anybody can study a book and take a test. I mean, everybody here will contend with that. But in order to have that, you've got to have your time actual on the job in the ditch.
What are Cole and Sean's titles now?
Right now, they're just workers.
They're just, they don't have a title at all.
But they are supervising the employees out there that work under them.
so how would that work? Is Tracy still gonna be the overall
That Tracy.
supervisor, or?
Tracy recommended this as something that was necessary. He is doing all of the, I mean, right now he's using their certification because he has to have on-time training with them. So I, you know,
And Tracy would be like the superintendent, and
Right.
then the other guys would be the foreman.
Right.
It would pretty much work the same way it's working as of today, because these guys have already basically taken on that lead role. Because we have to have somebody out there running the day-to-day stuff.
So we're basically just giving them a position title and an increase in pay is what it comes down to.
That's what it would amount to.
And we're talking about Billy Morrow too.
Yes.
Is he in the utility department?
Well, no, but they all make the same wage.
Billy is getting a $3 an hour foreman rate now already in the salary resolution.
Well, then if we give these guys $2 an hour, they're gonna be making $2 an hour more in Billy, and he holds up 3 departments on his own.
No,
Yeah, he does.
no, it's
No, we
not
don't.
the same. You're trying to compare apples to oranges here.
Why not?
Yes, you are.
So Cole will
Because
supervise
the
Sean and Sean will
$2
supervise Cole?
The $2 an hour that the foreman positions will get will go on to the base wage.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, and the
I
certification
know what
money
you're
is
talking
above
about.
that. Billy has no certification, and there is no certification required for his job.
It's a council decision, it's proposed by the administrative promotion committee.
And it's a motion by the committee.
Making a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to put the foreman positions in place with Sean and Cole.
And Billy.
Billy doesn't fit on the resolution.
No.
If it's utility, he's already making $3. You're not gonna back him off. It's 2.
It just goes to,
Just Sean and,
just Sean
Cole.
and Cole.
okay,
I think that's utility.
okay.
That's what Tracy's proposal was.
Billy is already titled as foreman.
Yeah, he's
So
already.
he's getting $3 more an hour.
He's at $19 an hour. And both of these guys are at $19 an hour with the certificate. So they'll be making more than Bill.
Billy is running more departments.
Yeah, but Billy
Not
doesn't
according
have
to
any
them.
certification either. And that's all part of it. You have to have a certification to be in your water and sewer.
We're using their certifications right now because Tracy does not have them. And he's getting it, but that's the reason for this.
Pass the first one.
Right. We have to also have people training with them to get the rest of it.
These 2 guys are gonna get another $1 an hour raise anyway because of their certificates. Regardless. And like I say, there's things we've
I got a
asked.
little problem with that, because Billy and the street crew actually did a lot of the water work. last
They're
year.
doing
Most of
most
the
of
work
it.
and-
They're
and
most,
stuff.
exactly.
I don't mind giving these guys titles, because that helps create structure. But I think we gotta look at giving Billy some more money too.
He did. He gave him $1 an hour for being Billy here right shortly after.
Did that to get them equal with the other foreman.
No, because I was a foreman and was making more money than me, so.
What's the pleasure of the council? I have a motion and a second on the floor. More discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Is
Okay.
it allowed? Question from the public? Is there any kind of competition for these positions?
No.
Okay.
We've got a lead person in both of those departments that we would put into the position.
But there isn't anybody else that might qualify for them, or it just seems like, you know, they're being handed the position in the job, and without looking at, is there anybody else that might qualify for those positions?
There's nobody else in those departments.
Is what happens, Bob, they can all train and get certificates, and once they do that, they automatically get, if we need that certificate, they get $1 an hour raise. That's everybody down there. I mean, so there's a lot of other employees that could potentially.
I understand the certificate part, but as far as taking someone from a workforce in the sense and making them a supervisor without competing that position.
They're already tending to that position as it stands now.
Okay. All right.
Is getting the certificates, is that something we do on the job? So is the city paying them to get these certificates, and then we also give $1?
Their study time and all that is on their own personal time.
Yeah.
When they go to test, you cover the cost of the class so they can get certified?
Some of them got them before they came here too, so it isn't necessarily that we did it all.
A lot of these things, every year or two, they have to continue an ed type credits to hang
You
on
have
to.
to obtain so many hours of training every year to retain your certificate.
plus the individual pays a certificate fee to the state every year. And the person himself pays that, the city don't pay that. It's not very much, but it's,
Well, I think Bill just went to Rapid for some street classes and stuff too, didn't he? But that's not required by the state, so we don't get any raises for that.
it's not
I
required by the
understand
state.
that, right?
Yeah, no certificates there.
Is Tracy getting close?
He passed
Tracy's
his
already
test.
passed some
Yeah.
of his courses.
He's in class one.
Can I have a question back here, Kurt?
You keep talking about a resolution. Do you have a resolution? Your agenda doesn't list a resolution.
It would be a motion, same
Okay.
thing. Yep, I'm sorry.
The salary resolution that was passed January 1, that we're required to pass for all of those positions are in there with no names attached to them.
Oh,
So
okay.
it would be action that would put
There's
them
no
in
names
that
on there.
category or in
Just
that
kind of like
class.
signing a check and leaving.
Say that again?
Just kind of like signing a check and leaving.
Signing the check. Mayor doesn't do that.
Not anymore.
Any other discussion?
We're talking about $2 to $3 hour raise here. How did Tracy get $5 an hour, and what? why
That's a
did he get
different
that?
subject. He's a foreman over the whole utility department, and it doesn't fit in this discussion, but he got $5 because he was in charge of both of them to take it on. But it was a council decision.
About 6. Okay.
That was, it's just a council decision at the time.
When Stephanie left, we did not replace, they talked earlier about all the positions we didn't replace, so, there was the supervisor of the wastewater department that we eliminated, and for $5 an hour onto Tracy, he took over that responsibility of what Steph had here as the wastewater superintendent. And we no longer have a street superintendent either. I mean, that was Gene when he left. So those are some of the positions that were referred to earlier that no longer exist in the city.
What's the position on the city of sewer when he took it over? Who's gonna get the raise in the wastewater, I guess? Was it Cole?
Cole gets the raise as foreman in the wastewater. Sean gets the raise as foreman in the water
And Tracy
portion.
got raised for $5 just to oversee them.
Oversee the entire utility department. The council took the action a while back and combined the sewer and water departments. They were sitting there separately.
I remember that.
And they're combined now into a utility department, and that's what Tracy is over. Cannot be referred to as a public works engineer, because then he does not qualify for the certifications, and the council wants Tracy to be certified. So his title cannot be public works director, it had to be something other than that to allow
That was the
for his.
position I was referring to earlier about the certificates.
And he's working toward that.
And he's taking the classes right along with the other guys.
And then he'll be getting another raise after he passes the classes.
Not in his case, because he's a supervisor, so he doesn't have that dollar of certification.
Where he's at is where he's at.
Originally Harley was overseeing these two departments.
Got a motion, a second on the floor. Are you ready to vote? Any more discussion?
Can I
I
ask
make
one more
this a
question?
two-part vote.
Sure.
Yeah, you can.
In your guys, how is this gonna put us in a better position, in your guys' opinion, administration's opinion?
Well, basically, we're using them for those positions right
Right.
now with their certification. And it's only the fact that I've been working on the organizational chart, and there has been a lot of issues where people are.
So structure-wise.
Structure-wise, it is
That's what we're
important,
doing as
yes.
far, okay, that's what I need to know.
Can we make this a two-part vote?
For what?
I have no problems making them foremans, but unless we give Billy a raise, I don't wanna vote for a raise.
I'll vote against it.
I don't wanna, I agree with them being foreman, so I agree with half of it.
Right now, we have one motion on the floor. Any other discussion, changes, questions? Ready to vote? Got a motion and a second, it would put the two people into the foreman positions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No,
Did you get the noes?
I got the loudest one.
Let's do a. If you voted yes, raise your hand so we know.
Okay.
And 3 noes. Thank you. Code of Ethics. It's on the agenda. Jerry, I spelled your name wrong. I know how to spell it. I only put 1 R in it on my copy, sorry. But it was, 2 meetings ago it was brought up, and there was no consensus at all. And what I said at the meeting is that if anybody had any comments or questions or suggested changes, let me know, and I'd bring it to the next meeting. While I was out of town at the next meeting, there was an emergency, I couldn't help it, so I'm bringing it back to this meeting. So this is the Code of Ethics that was presented on March 3rd, and I didn't have any calls or questions of any suggestions as to changes. So what is the council's feeling on the Code of Ethics?
Make a motion, we instill the code of ethics.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to adopt the Code of Ethics. Discussion.
Yeah, could I,
Code of ethics or code of conduct?
It says Code of Ethics on the one that's handed out. It says Code of Conduct on the agenda. Same thing, basically.
What would violate,
Is there any discussion from the council first? Questions?
could I ask Tim a question? Tim, you sent out an email, and it says, you would like support here on this issue. You put in here that you are tired of Hot Springs being the laughingstock of the Black Hills. If you have been at any of the city council meetings, you know what I'm talking about. I guess I would like some insight. I've talked to several towns about this, and I guess none of them have referred to us as the laughingstock of the Black Hills, so I guess I'm curious what you're referring to that.
I have talked to the municipal league.
I have too.
I have talked to people in community. I've talked to people in other communities. I've talked to people that maybe don't want their name brought out into this, but we are. There's people that have referred to this as the kangaroo court down there.
Well, Tim, I disagree, because I've talked to several people too, and they said, we don't know where you're coming off with this laughingstock of the Southern Hills, because I have never once had anyone call me and say, you know, you guys are the laughingstock of the Black Hills because you don't have a code of conduct. You know, we had to take an oath when we become council people, and we basically took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of South Dakota. And I mean, if you'd take time to read it, I guess you'd understand what I'm trying to say here. I don't understand where.
I think, Wes, that we're talking more about professional manner. And most professional people have a code of ethics, and it's in response to how I treat you and how you treat me. And it's on the council.
Sturgis, neither one of those go with it.
There's a lot that do though. And there's, our police department does, our library council does, and any professional person does.
But if you read some of these things here about using the council for personal gain and different things, you know, Georgia, you for one, you're on this board at the Plunge, and then you sit on this council. That is a direct conflict of interest in most people's eyes.
You sit on the board for the rec too, Park and Rec.
But no, I don't actually sit on the board, on the committee chair.
On the committee, whatever.
But
There's a
several.
lot of issues that are separate from all of those, and it's more about how we behave at the board or council meetings, like people do watch everything that comes across on videos. I mean, you can watch it, and there's certain issues. And I know you had an issue the one time about whether you could say no or not. That isn't what this is
Well, it kinda scares me when you start doing stuff like this, you start kinda encroaching on my rights of free speech and different things.
But
And
it
I
happens.
believe in my rights, and most
I
people
think we
do.
all, I think we all do, Wes.
Well, but
There
see-
isn't any issue about that.
But see, people don't realize there could be a judicial side to this thing.
I don't
And I'm
see
scared.
any judicial side to this, and I don't see anything infringing on your rights whatsoever. It's being polite and not disrespectful to your other members of the council, which has happened. And I have to say that, and to the public, and I have to say back in January, I was one of those, and I apologize for it.
When you have to take kids from the Boys and Girls Club outside and tell them that that's sometimes the way adults act, that's wrong. That's where I'm coming from on this side.
I guess I feel that when you get a group of people together like this, council members, people from the community, you're gonna have people that are very passionate about what they're trying to get accomplished. And you're gonna have conflict. And once in a while, a voice is gonna get raised. It's gonna happen. That's just human nature. So,
Conflict is good,
yeah,
actually.
there has to be conflict. There
Because
has
that's
to
how
be.
things get
Otherwise, we would get nothing accomplished.
discussed and straightened out.
So, as far as I'm concerned with this piece of paper, it is basically the oath that I took when I took this office, so I have no problem with it. I'll accept that.
Got a question back here, and then,
Are there consequences?
are there consequences?
Not in this thing.
No, there's not.
Paul, you had a question earlier, or so?
Well, I guess maybe it's a statement. I got appointed when I was first over in Edgemont. They were having problems, and so they got desperate, and I got appointed to council.
Desperate?
They got real desperate. And, but the thing is that the mayor sat me down and told me, you know, we think we're being bugged in this office, and we really want to move City Hall to get away from being bugged. And I thought that was insane. Well, but I didn't say, well, I'm not gonna vote with you. I didn't say anything. I said, okay, fine. And then we had a vote, and the vote was to move City Hall. And I didn't vote to move City Hall because it was gonna be terribly expensive. And a former councilman says they are trying anything they can do to get you kicked off council. They appointed me, but then they wanted to get me kicked off for political reasons. And so I'm really hesitant with ethics. Carl, you know, the council that was here with Carl Oberlitner before, we worked on the petition on the library. And, you know, if you'd been on council at the time, that council would have done anything to shoot you for that.
Might have.
Well, I'm just saying, I question when you're going with ethics.
The editor of the paper at the time wanted to shoot me.
Yeah, you know, I'm just saying, ethics is a fine line. Jerry and I disagree very much on uranium, and she might consider me unethical for some of the things I say and vice versa. So I'm just saying it's a fine line, and unless you're gonna go to the ministerial association.
Well, if you're,
I don't think,
I thought you were having an engineer's degree.
I do.
Do you have a code of ethics?
as an engineer?
Not specific.
I think most generally on your license, there's usually a code of ethics of some kind.
It's general, you know, I mean,
But it's there.
there is a board.
That's what this
And
is.
that's all this is.
Right, if I lie.
Very general.
But the problem is,
There's
when you-
nothing specific that we can take action on as a council member against another council member or against anybody in the public. This is just something as a guideline to follow.
Or useless paper.
well, and that's the only thing
I
I'm
don't
saying.
consider it useless paper.
Well, I mean, I would argue with some of the engineers that work on the library, you know, we've all signed the same code of ethics. If somebody does something criminal.
But you respect an engineer, is that right? Other engineers?
I listen to them first, but if they're
But
telling the
that's
truth.
basically what this is. I respect you as another engineer. If you have a license, that's what this is saying. We're respecting each other as council members.
Let's try to stay back to the city code of ethics.
Sure.
Jerry, you had a question, a statement?
Yes, I didn't bring this up to hurt anyone's feelings or to cause any problems between the city council. I brought this up because we all, as professionals, have ethics. And sometimes we need guidelines, even as adults, to remind us of, hey, you know, let's change maybe the way that we're doing something. It was more to bring to light maybe a problem that we're having with our communication. We're still neighbors. We still need to get along. I'm just trying to come up with a solution for something that I see maybe we might have a problem with. We have the right for a peaceful assembly. That is our right. This is just a reminder, this is just an agreement. I come here peaceable, and I would like for it to be peaceable. We can still have agreements or disagreements. We can still have conflict, but there's no reason for,
You have to leave that door open.
there's no reason for us not to work together for the good of the town without some of the problems we've had. I'm not, I didn't bring this up to cause any further conflicts.
I tend to agree with Lyle. Discourse, whether you give and take, whether you agree with someone else's particular opinions or feelings on something, if you're allowed to have your say, so should the other people, whether you totally disagree with them or not. And Lyle put his finger on something when he said, some people are very impassioned. Well, I'll tell you, this tends to look like it's targeting, and I think that would be hard to deny. It's Wes Grimes you're targeting. Anybody in the room can see it. Now, he comes on like a bull in a china shop at times, but guess what? That's who he is. Should he kind of conduct himself in a way so he's not cursing at people? Yeah, that's acceptable. But to pass something so you can use it in a way to target one council member, to me.
I don't think it's targeting one.
I have the
same passions of many things, but then he may have a heavier voice tonight. That doesn't mean he has any different authority over anything. It's just that I speak softer, okay?
It's one of two things. It's either targeting or tail wagging the dog.
We're just asking for the code of ethics.
I want to keep this going and get to council discussion as soon as possible if there's any more.
Just one,
Really quick.
when I have gone to every committee meeting that is open to the public, I've come to the council meetings, everything else. And I will say that, yes, sometimes everybody's passion, everything else, everybody has that right. You all have the right to say yes or no to whichever. The only thing that I would like, would hope to see is just more professionalism. And I've spoke to you guys before about name calling, that it's even been published on your website videos and stuff to have it removed. So whether it's targeting or not, I wouldn't say it's targeting, but just something to say to everybody. Just be careful what you say to the public.
Thank you. We have to remember that, you know, this was brought up a long time ago, but this specific piece of paper has no conflict in it whatsoever toward anybody on the council or to the public. And it was brought to us by Jerry Baker.
Yeah, but
member of the
right
public.
after you guys made it, it's the same thing you and Cart and George brought up in your committee.
A lot of it's used from municipal league, hasn't it?
You wanna talk about ethics, you got someone else trying to pass something you tried to pass off months ago.
Excuse me,
So,
actually, that was from a teacher's code of ethics, and I have the original.
and we do too, we have the same one
Well,
that,
I also have the other laws that go with it. I can show you 3 different.
I'd like for you people to watch that hockey game last night between the New York volunteer firemen and the policemen. You wanna talk about a brawl, you wanna talk about a code of ethics amongst professional people, then you come back and talk to me about a code of ethics amongst us.
I have,
You'd be amazed.
I have the original.
I think the newspaper puts things out of proportion at times too. They accuse Wes of attacking the people he never attacked her. He talked the truth about things and brought it to attention, and the paper said that he attacked her. And I think the paper ought to apologize.
Has the paper apologized to you for that, Wes?
No.
Did you not sit in front of me and tell me, and I said, I'm
Well,
sorry?
we discussed it. I came down and I asked for a meeting with you, but I guess we discussed it, but I guess I don't remember really an apology. I mean,
Okay.
and maybe you did, I guess.
Did I make one point?
Sure.
You're talking about a code of ethics and people interrupting. The only two people that have interrupted anybody tonight are Georgia and Carl during the discussion. And you can go back and look at your videotape, and I think it will support that.
Thank you. Any more council discussion on this? I want to get going because we've got a lawyer that's going to be here in 3 minutes.
He's already here.
Session. We're down here.
Sorry.
I want to keep it going as fast as I can. This is a council issue. I've let a lot of the public speak on it. That's not real normal in these kinds of meetings, but I always try to allow it so the council knows what people are thinking and not to exclude people.
My only comment on this, Don, is I really don't see anything in here that we shouldn't try to live by.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, right
There's
now I
nothing
have-
in here that's gonna stifle free speech. There's nothing in here that's gonna stifle vigorous debate. And
Well,
so
let us vote.
I just trying hard to live my life anyway.
I've got a motion and a second.
John, can I comment?
Yeah, really quick, Ray, sorry.
Code of conduct. I watched the last couple of council meetings, and I seen a lot of spirited conversation. I love it. That's what needs to happen. Change only comes through conflict. And having said that, everybody has a right to speak their mind. Whether it's loud, maybe we can tone down the volume sometimes, but we need that spirit of communication. And I don't believe in this code of conduct, stepping on our rights to say what we have to say. That's all I gotta say.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion from the council? You ready to vote? Got a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No,
One no vote?
one, no.
Committee reports. Did you have anything, Carl?
Yes. We met on the 19th of March last time. We talked about the plunge rates. The foreman's positions, the personal policy or personnel policy handbook was gone over by Georgia, then it was gone over by me for corrections, and they went to the mayor, and you have it now, so you have to bring the final back to be accepted by the council, I think. We discussed the code of conduct. We talked about the tall grass landscape. The contract was ready for signature. The District 9 meeting, which South Dakota Municipal League was hosting, and that was a good turnout there. Something came up with Harley and Kathy working on the firefighter golf tournament. Right. Depot used signing out the keys and direct deposit for checks in the city. we've already passed that, to go into use and institute it.
Thanks, Carl. Public Works, Dwight?
We had a citizen come see us about dust control on some of the streets here in Hot Springs. And Billy is going to get a list together for us, and we will bid out mag water on some of these areas, the chronic dust areas when the weather dries up. We talked about bulk water rates for possible sale to Southern Hills water users, and possibly a new well at the golf course to serve the golf course, the city, and 71 South, if it can be worked out. We just talked about these things. City-wide cleanup days will be the week of April 21st through the 25th. We encourage all citizens of Hot Springs to take advantage of this. We're paying extra money on our water bills to have this, so take advantage of it. And the vault is done for the backflow preventer. And it should be installed in a week or two. Pressure reducing valve vaults will be built in Rapid City, and crews will build the PRV stations in-house. There's going to be a company coming in to inspect the trickle filter at the sewer plant next week to see what we got to do for repairs on that. And that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Public safety, Craig, you didn't have a meeting, did you?
We have a meeting next Monday at 9,
Okay.
but I'd like to meet with Dave sometime this week, go over some ordinances. The marijuana says the burning one, so we can start burning in town.
As long as it's not crosses.
Huh? Yeah,
As long as it's not a cross.
I hear you.
When does,
Agricultural recreation,
We
Wes?
did not have a meeting.
Okay.
You can have one
We'll
this
be
week.
having one next Wednesday, 3 o'clock, I believe, Lyle. I think that's when it is, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere around there.
3 o'clock?
It's 3.
I think it's 3, because the admin promo used to be at 2.
Okay, Harlan, do you have a report?
Yes, several things here. One, just a report on the upcoming city election on June 3rd. Ward 1, we will be having a race between Ray Eckervy, Georgia Holmes, and Christopher Pennell. Ward 2, we have one candidate, so unopposed, so Deanne, is it McCobb or McCove? McComb, okay. I've got to get used to that. So Diane will be the representative in July. No one ran against her, so she will be automatically appointed. And Caroline Schwarzenbach in Ward 3, same situation. So Caroline will be joining us again as a council person. She is a past council person. The other person that had petitions out did not file, so that one's in there automatically, as is Carl Atchley in Ward 4. So Carl ran unopposed, and so the 3 of you will be here, and it's good to see you, all of the candidates here for this. And then 3 mayor candidates, Dave Burris, Cindy Donnell, and Jim Sword. So that will be a mayor race on June 3rd, and those that live in Ward 1 will be voting also for councilperson there. The majority vote gets it, so there's not a 50% plus 1. The city, every November, if they want to have a runoff, has to decide that in November of the preceding year, and we did not do that here, so whoever gets the most votes in Ward 1 and for mayor, you're the lucky candidate to serve here. Enough on that. Wanted to report a little bit on the FEMA grant. We talked a little bit about that a while back. There was some concern on whether we should or shouldn't apply for anything. I was hoping for somewhere around $80,000 in FEMA money for the snowstorm in October, is what I was kind of shooting for as a ballpark, 80 to 90 kind of range. Because of the rule changes or the policy changes, and if you listen to the TV station, Rapid City said, oh, we got good things because we're doing this, we're getting an accelerated return on our money. Hot Springs did the same thing. I mean, we didn't get the coverage that Rapid City did for getting 95% on some of the activity that we did between the feds and the state. Part of it was 85% and part of it was 75%. Total submitted was $126,000. We received and have in the bank $116,647.52. So we brought in a substantial amount of money. $22,000 was for the grinding, so that was the only outside out of pocket. All the rest of this was time that we spent with our employees already, so that's extra money, one-time money, so don't jump on it and spend it all in one place, but that's one-time money that the city has in their coffers now to decide what you wish to do with on the FEMA grants. Department of Revenue came down and had a meeting with us concerning the upcoming season with transient and temporary businesses coming through town, so warning residents to make sure you watch for that. Some of the customary ones are people wanting to do shingles, siding, door-to-door salesmen, you name it, they'll come through. They are all required to show upon request a sales tax license, whether that's a permanent one that they have as an ongoing business like a Swan's would here in town, or it would be marked temporary down in the corner in big black letters. So anyone coming door to door, your first question is, do you have a South Dakota sales tax license? Yes, we do. Well, we want to see it. So they're required by statute to show that. So those residents, just be on notice, and if you have any questions, hey, you better go check with City Hall. And we do allow for temporary licenses for transient vendors in town, and then we make sure that they're all equipped with what they need to do. I wanted to honor or recognize several employees. Jason Happy made a picture in one of the magazines. He was named Young Professional of the Year at the annual South Dakota Turf Conference here earlier last month in Sioux Falls by the South Dakota Golf, I don't know what that stands for, GCSAA, whatever the association is that oversees that. So he received that award, so it was kind of an exciting thing for him. Library has completed some training. Amy Lee, our newest employee up there, has completed some continuing ed. And the whole library board, along with Cindy as the library director, attended some 7-part series of a trustee academy. So they all met several times throughout February and March. This is put on by the state library, and they covered, like I said, 7 different areas of the library. So all of the library board as volunteers and Cindy as the director all had to meet together in order to talk about long-range planning, how the library exists, how to work together, that sort of thing. Couple bid openings that are out there. We have our 2014 water line bid opening April 17th at 3 o'clock. We also are out for bids for demolition of the Community Action Building. We finally made it through all the court stuff to get the Community Action Building demoed, and those bids are due May 2nd at 3 o'clock in City Hall, all public openings. Friday, lastly, I'll report that the city, along with Black Hills Power and Light, donated some lots to the Dakota Land Trust. They are having a public groundbreaking. They're saying 9 to 10:30 at the operations center of Black Hills Power and Light, the office building of Black Hills Power and Light. And weather permitting, it'll happen at the site up at the corner of Washington and 23rd. But their plan under the Dakota Land Trust and Neighborhood Works is to bring in or put in 2 single-family residential units on those lots and do what they do to get people eligible, affordable housing. So it steps another, got one in town already 2 years ago. This is their next effort to get a couple more in town, affordable housing. So please attend that, it's a public event. Thank you.
Matt,
I'm done.
I had several items, I'm just gonna report a couple of them really quick. The governor has given the state employees a half a day off on Good Friday. We'll be doing the same thing for Good Friday afternoon in Hot Springs. And then the other thing that Harley mentioned, we were at in court March 28th, and that's when the judge settled the community action building with Hot Springs Citizens for Progress. We have the right to enter and secure the building, remove the building and the foundation, remove all the debris, and then turn in the cost back to the court in the future, what it cost us for a judgment. That's all that I had for tonight. We do have to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion to second, go into executive session for legal. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
I'm going home.